Is this real? Elon Musk gaming stream. Stream's going well, it seems. Elon, it's me, Ashley St. Clair. I have no other means of contacting you, so I bought Path of Exile 2 early access just for this. Please pay your child support. Why doesn't he just turn off chat? You have no real friends and will die alone. Elon, give me a Tesla for infinite luck. Miskip sent Kaho Shibuya angry DMs after she criticized him for doing pull-ups on a cherry blossom tree. Are cherry blossoms like actual like holy relics? I thought only anime kids thought those were. Oh, they just good one. Good link.
Yeah, but to my community and my people, sorry if I got you worried. Yeah, sorry about that. Are you shitting on him? Because he sent me a personal message. Yeah, shitting on me. Yes, that's why. And it's all about me. There are like 3 me in 3 sentences. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, so your community actually reflects you. Wow. I was shocked. And he actually deleted that comment later on from like a Discord. Yeah, but of course I screenshot it as evidence. Yeah, you shouldn't be Kaho. Our community is the best.
Oh wait, like she means personally from their own Discord messages. So he messaged her, and then he deleted him after. Okay.
Oh, thank you. Well, you're one of the best. Yeah, it's like so disappointing. I got so personally disappointed. Up until that point, I thought like, you know what? You know, he didn't know, or they didn't know. I mean, it's not about this one guy. They didn't know. You know, of course, they can always excuse it. I was gonna, help them have the opportunity to explain themselves, even to the Japanese community and the English community. And they were like, oh, yeah, really rude response. Really rude. And there were 3 me in 3 sentences, and there was no period in the sentence. That really, my OCD just like freaked out. Yeah.
Okay. Apparently, he did pull-ups on like a cherry blossom tree. I mean, I guess you're probably not supposed to do that. I don't know if these matter or not. But, I mean, he tried to message her, and it sounds like she just decided to blow him up publicly more. So, I mean, I don't know. Seems like a little shitty, but who cares that much? I don't know. I don't know if I care that much about this.
Magical solution for things like, if you don't like it, move out of your state. Most people can't do that.
Why not?
Because they don't have the money to do it.
Uh-oh.
Why not?
Stop it.
Could you have just moved a state without, back when you were working, could you have just packed it up and moved? No.
We did.
You moved with the job. Not everyone can find another job.
That's when you get involved in your politics in your state and make changes.
That's when you wish you'd have got a better education.
Okay, but they're getting rid of the Department of Education. So how do you get a better education?
You go to privatized education.
Dad, I want to get into your line of logic.
That's what I mean when this is how every debate with my mom would go.
Here, because this is interesting to me. So you say, if you don't like how the schools are in your state, move states, right?
Yeah.
I don't have enough money to do that. Well, then you need to get a better job. I can't do that, you say, because I don't have a good enough education. Then we're right back in the beginning to the states don't provide a good enough...
Where'd you get that pitiful education? At a lib school.
Huh?
Everybody has enough money to move.
Just move. Based. Argument crushed. Got him. Oh shit. Everybody was fucking with a tree. Oh no. I saw a video of content creators I've met before doing pull-ups and gymnastic tricks on a sakura tree's branches, inevitably shaking cherry blossom petals off. It just broke my heart to see someone I actually know doing such things in Japan. It's always been unknown people on social media. Fortunately, the post was gone the next day, so they probably regretted and deleted it. But please, if you ever want to flex your muscles to show how much testosterone you've got, go touch your own wood. Leave ephemeral cherry blossoms with flowers living for only 2 weeks alone. And they had already deleted it. Damn, she's milking that situation. Oh my God, she's milking it. AirPods 4. Oh shit. Wait, do I even have AirPods 3? I don't even know what version I've got right now. It's literally a crime. She has every right to be upset. Is it literally a crime to shake trees? And no one is saying she doesn't have a right to be upset. It's just, I feel like it's kind of weird to be tweeting about it, I guess. But if you need that attention, then fucking go for it. Apparently they're worse than Pros. I think they're the newest version of the shittier version. Oh. Why would you release the AirPod 4s without the AirPod 4 Pros? You have the AirPod Pros 2? Are the AirPod Pros 3 out? Is she milking it or genuinely upset? Milking it? What do you mean? What part of being upset compels you to tweet about it? What? Like, it sounds like she literally said they'd already deleted their tweet, so it seems like they already got pushback for it, no? Miskiff went unhinged in those DMs to her? How unhinged? And their DMs is private messages.
Gonna be groomed for sure? No.
What is this? Asmon slot, my favorite.
You can be groomed for sure? No, and that's a good point, right? Is that like, that's why I said as an adult, is because like if you're a kid and like you get fed a lot of propaganda and like messaging, like I feel like every trans kid is actually a victim of a parent with a mental illness. That's what I believe.
Based,
and so
okay.
like I really, and this you
Damn, that's a brave take to give on Twitch. Wait, hold on. Am I understanding this right? He's saying he's basically saying being trans is a mental illness, right? Or did I miss something?
you can be groomed for sure? No, and that's a good point, right? Is that like, that's why I said as an adult, is because like if you're a kid and like you get fed a lot of propaganda and like messaging, like I feel like every trans kid is actually a victim of a parent with a mental illness. That's what I believe.
Okay.
And so, like, I really, and this, you got a kid that's like 17, right? I mean, it's a little bit more, you know, it's like not really as definitive. But like, if you have a kid that's like pre-puberty and they're trans, your parents have a mental illness. That's it.
All right.
You can be groomed for sure? No.
Jesus.
Victim of a parent with a mental illness. Yeah. That's what I believe. And so, like, I really, and this, you got a kid that's like 17, right? I mean, it's a little bit more, you know, it's like not really as definitive. But like, if you have a kid that's like pre-puberty and they're trans, your parents have a mental illness. And this is something that a lot of people need to hear. It is. It's something a lot of people need to hear. In school, yeah, no, you're right. And it could also be a school. And it's not always the parents. Sometimes it's a school too. But there's an adult with a mental illness in your life. That's a great point. And so anyway, a lot of people were posting this trying to act like, oh, wow, like, you know, we're going to try to get him in trouble for this shit. Like, I'm sorry, but this is like a 90-10 issue. This is like beyond even 80-20. Like, everybody fucking thinks this. The only reason that nobody's saying it is because people are afraid of saying it. The fact is, like, I don't really give a shit because, like, I mean, fuck, like, people hate me all the time, right? So like, there's nothing to lose. But the fact is that it's a 99-1. It's an extreme situation. And especially, like, we're talking about, like, you know, I said, like, pre-puberty. And this is really the logic, right? Is that, so pretty much you have like the idea of being trans is tied to gender roles, but when you don't even understand what your own gender role is because it doesn't exist, because you're pre-puberty and you haven't even, you know, gone through any sort of like sexual development at all, how could you know that you don't have, how could you know that this is not correlated to...
Not to be gross or weird, but like babies left with each other, like notice differences in genitals, like as soon as they can like sit up and touch themselves, like you start to differentiate or notice differences in sexual development, like in months of age. And then it's not like you are completely and totally sexually invisible and then boom, puberty happens. Like this is a whole process of growing and maturing. Like there is a Steelman version of Asmongold's argument that I actually do agree with, which is like if your child is like 4 or 5 and they say they're trans, that's 1,000,000,000% parents being fucking weird. But like my guess is going to be if you are trans for whatever reason that is or whatever the fuck causes it, I have no idea, but if you are trans, you're probably noticing this like right in like your pre-puberty years, if not a bit earlier. But I don't, that's like the ultra Steelman version. I don't know. I don't think, Asmongold probably just doesn't believe in trans people, period, would be my guess. But
because you're pre-puberty and you haven't even, you know, gone through any sort of like sexual development at all, how could you know that you don't have, how could you know that this is not correlated to what you want? Well, guess what? The reason why is because you have an adult whispering in your ear telling you it's not. A victim of...
Why are American streets filled with cars from Europe and Japan, but their streets are empty of American cars, even as we provide defense and security for both? Because our cars are better, more fuel efficient, last longer, cost less, and have a good resale value. This is like asking why your wife thinks about Brad Pitt while she's fucking you. It's not just because he has hair and you don't. Damn. Damn. Based. I will gladly trade cheap iPhones today for my children to have a stable, functional, prosperous car when I'm gone. True. Prosperous country when I'm gone. True. It's patriotic to pay more. It's my baby boy's birthday. He's 22. I love him so much. Buy him a beer. And she links his fucking Venmo. Bro, this administration is shameless. Holy fuck. Oh, this is what I meant, by the way, when I was talking about how Andrew Yang was appealing to weird people. Who's to blame for this market crash? From Andrew Yang. 33% Trump, 35% Democrats, 29% two-party system base. To be fair, this is also on X, so it's going to skew. Oh. I voted for Harris. Why didn't you?
Fucking Discord drama or fucking Chris said, he said, get the fuck out, unfollow me. I never wanted you to follow me to begin with. Damn. You're interested in fucking drama. I'm trying to be here to make a change. And I would really fucking like people to focus on that change, right? Obviously fucking, I just do TikTok live because I just do debates because I enjoy it. That's all. And my main shit is a bunch of other shit. Posting TikTok videos, posting on Instagram, posting on YouTube, do that, going to protests. Like, that's my thing. I do TikTok live debates because I enjoy it. Some dude asked, why'd I come back? I never left. I just stopped debating because I stopped enjoying it. And I don't enjoy it when our side is focused on the dumbest fucking shit while fascism knocks at the door. And it makes me angry to my core. Because it's like, how can the same group of people who claim to care so much about activism be doing such nonsensical fucking bullshit? It's insane. And it's only a TikTok debate fucking, like, it's a bubble right now, guys. It's a bubble. I'm sorry. It's a fucking bubble, right? Every single other person, I have talked to people in my sphere who work in politics. Like,
he hates women.
Work in politics, who disagree with so many of my politics because they are left.
I want to talk about
like leftist, like almost didn't vote for Kamala Harris leftist. And I have not had a single one of those people, all the way from leftists, all the way to Trump people I know, friends that voted for Trump. Every single person in the real world doing real shit, when they hear about any of this drama, is like, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, sorry, we're adults, we have shit to do. Like, Jesus fuck, dude, you got, like, you, it is just insane to me. It is insane to me, man.
God, what did I say a few days ago? Like, stop thinking of these complex explanations, like, for the Trump tape, like, they're epic, and he's owning people that he feels like has wronged them. That's it. He just wants to be epic, and he just wants to get back at people who shit on him. That's it. Super simple. They're just fucking retarded. That's it.
And they pride themselves on their stupidity, their ignorance, and their meanness. They're really mean. The things that they want to do, like, let's not give any...
They are mean. That's where the evil thing comes from. They're super, super gross. Did you know after World War I, the French put around 25,000 black soldiers to occupy Germany? One of the reasons the far right won in Germany. I don't know if that 25,000 black soldiers thing is true. That sounds like a not true thing. Pretty sure the reason why the French occupied parts of Germany after World War I is because Germany wasn't paying back their reparations fast enough. That's when they occupied the RUHR, whatever, until they worked out a longer repayment deal. I don't remember if all the troops were black, though.
So they're very mean, and they're really stupid, and they're very proud of their ignorance.
Really wonderful to have.
Says here.
Can you put your damn phone away?
At some point, I will read these on stream and make a YouTube video out of them next week.
Deadline is
How do the futures markets like continuously update, or how does that work? I have no idea.
Cameron, good evening.
Good evening.
You expecting a bounce now?
Well, certainly not this afternoon or tomorrow morning. We have seen enough of a flush within markets that usual technicals would suggest that you could see a little bit of a relief rally, but we have to acknowledge that if you are completely imploding the last 40 years of economic world order over the course of these tariffs, that maybe some of the past rules don't apply. But we have to stick to the numbers and not the emotion. And the numbers do suggest that you have seen some flush signals, which probably get even more extreme after Monday's trading.
At the same time, over the weekend, a lot of calls back and forth from different executive questions about margin calls. We've been discussing that and whether there's anything in the dollar being sold, gold being sold, crypto assets being sold that's suggestive of forced selling. Are you seeing any signs of that?
There certainly seems to be at least a little bit of an uptick in disorder, because what you can see is when correlations rise between stocks on big down days, you see things like the number of names hitting new 20-day lows hit over 76% on Friday. You have the number of names above their 50-day moving average at just 12%, put call ratio at 1.3 intraday. That all suggests this idea of people are selling indiscriminately, which suggests that idea of people are selling what they can in order to offset some of the big losses that they have in other parts of their portfolio.
Let's say people model out what we heard from the tariff regime that was put out in the Rose Garden last week. What are we pricing in? What's the ultimate end game? If that goes into effect, is it recession? Is it stagflation? Does it matter? Have people thought about that?
We closed on Friday trading at 19 times forward earnings on a $270 a share number that implies 11% growth for 2025. That's not a recession in the EPS number, and that's not a recession in the valuation as well, which is why we think that this volatility continues, even if you see that short-term bounce from a technical perspective.
We're going into earnings season. We're here from Delta Airlines. This coming Wednesday, you'll hear from the big banks reporting on Friday. But when you think about what you're looking for from corporations, what are you looking for in the weeks to come this earnings season? What are you expecting them to say? What can they say?
Well, I'm expecting them to tell us what they plan to do with CapEx and hiring, because they do know where the tariffs are. They do know the size. They can't sit there and meet with analysts and say, we have no idea. They have to be doing something. What is it?
That interplay between margins and consumer price tolerance, what is that interplay going to look like in the weeks to come when they have to set a price to account for a new tariff, a much bigger tariff potentially as well in the coming?
Help us non-finance pros understand, what are the futures and what does this mean? I don't know if you can trade futures on anything, but I think futures, basically give you the right to buy something or sell something, or is it just buy something for a particular price at some point in the future? And I think it ensures some level of price stability when you are producing things. So let's say, for instance, I have a big farm and I need to feed like hay to my animals, and I know that I can sell milk for some particular cost, but I'm worried that if the cost of hay goes up, then I might be fucked. So you trade on futures, you buy it for prices that are like guaranteed into the future, whatever. And that you can look at a derivative market like futures to see where people think the market is going, if the market is going up or down, I think, if that makes sense.
Coming days.
If companies are able to pass on price increases to customers, it actually can be good for margins. That's what happened in 2020 and 2021. But we don't expect that to happen this time around because the purchasing power of consumers' ability to absorb higher prices is much less than it was in a time like 2020 or 2021 when you were giving consumers checks to fund that spending. So we think a lot more of this pain from higher prices will have to be absorbed in corporate margins. The end result of that is that companies will look for other places to reduce costs. They'll start pulling back on capex, potentially start pulling back on hiring, turning to firing in order to defend margins. And that's the risk to economic growth.
Have you been encouraged by the fact that Treasuries, Cameron, have been something of a haven?
It certainly is supportive of the idea that you're not going to see this really terrible scenario of the back end of the curve really backing up because of deficit fears and funding of deficit fears. We think that's the worst case scenario in all of this, is that if you see the short end of the curve come down in the expectation that the Fed is going to cut rates, but the back end stays sticky, that means that you don't get the boost from things like mortgage refinancing and you have continued pressure on corporate funding costs. So that's what we're watching in the interplay with the curve, and that suggestion that are we in an environment where people have less demand for treasuries because of the deficit, at least over the last 2 days.
Sure thing, metal.
That hasn't happened, but look at the intraday reversal on Friday of the 10-year. That caught our eye.
Well, Bob, to this point, this administration, when asked about how much they care about markets, they've always come back to the 10-year. They never talk about the S&P 500. The put has always been in the bond market. At what point do you think the White House welcomes this if 10-year yields keep going lower?
So, Cameron, Friday's reversal has just reversed again.
Okay.
I'm looking at 10-year Treasury reversal. You know, the 10-year Treasury futures yields are down about 10 or so basis points. I think the focus on the 10-year is very clever because they know that's where the average American's mortgage is set off of. So try to push that down. That's probably where they would like to drive a lot of the Treasury borrowing, further out the curve and away from the front end where it was planted. So they need to do some of that. And then they also know that businesses tend to do a lot of funding out across the curve. So try to bring that down, benefit businesses and households, and of course themselves and government.
It's too cute. Execution risk is too high. Sure, yields might drop for all the wrong reasons. What do you think is going to happen to tax revenue? If yields are dropping because we're all repricing the economy and pricing in a recession, maybe we avoid it. I hope we do. What do you think happens to tax revenue?
I was just saying, having this conversation over the weekend, you got to look at both sides of the balance sheet. Tax revenue falls off a cliff at the same time that, okay, borrowing costs are a lot lower. Does that really get to the ultimate goal of balancing the fiscal health of this country?
You need the growth. We've been running 6% budget deficits with unemployment down at 4%. What does everyone think is going to happen to the budget deficit if we enter a recession?
I guess this is the question that people have to ultimately ask. Do you believe that this was a deliberate act to try to bring 10-year yields down? I mean, do you believe that, Bob Michael?
No, I don't think you crash the entire U.S. and global economy just because you want 10-year yields a little bit lower. Yeah. Do I think that the administration has said, here's our tariff policy. Now, Congress, ball's in your court. Here's the Tax Cut and Jobs Act extension plus everything I want to hang off of it. You're going to pass it or not? And Fed, hey, you can cut rates. You've cut them before. So conveniently, the ball has been passed from the administration to the Fed and to Congress. Will they take the pass or not? Right now, certainly the Fed looks to be fumbling the pass.
I'm pleased you went in that direction because I think it's a great point. The next stop for this conversation is the tax bill. And Cameron, for a lot of people that came into the new year bullish this administration, pro-risk, pro-growth. It was the more complete policy platform. Not trade, but taxes. What are you expecting now?
Well, there's a big contingent within the Republican Party that does not want to count tariffs in order to give tax cuts in other places, meaning that they are not comfortable with extrapolating tariff revenue in order to balance the budget. So the big question is, will you really get the tax cuts to offset what is a tax hike with these tariffs? And we're not so certain, which just means that maybe you get the extension of the baseline, but we're not positive that you're going to see this big offset with much lower corporate taxes or lower taxes on consumers, which just means that we get a lot of the pain from the tariffs, not necessarily the offset from lower taxes other places.
Trump posted a huge announcement on his Truth Social 7 hours ago.
Shot.
It's so unhinged. It's like comically unhinged. I've said this.
Auto parts.
I don't know what else to say other than that over and over again. That it's just comically unhinged. It actually cares. It doesn't work. If anything, I feel like this would be like McConnell or Roberts thinking that, like, okay, certainly Trump wouldn't do something so stupid.
Especially when it comes to U.S. tariffs and how exposed some of these car makers would be, depending on...
Circuit breaker triggered for Topix futures. What is Topix? Hot Topics?
Sort of around the edge. And
that's Japan.
Trying to shift that
Tokyo.
demand to to Europe, to China, more in Japan, Southeast Asia. You can do a little bit of that, but it's not. You're not going to be able to completely turn the picture around.
What does pricing elasticity or consumer elasticity look like when it comes to preferences for car brands?
I think there's a little bit, that favors brands that have a lot of brand equity for quality. So I think, Toyota probably does, very well there. I think a brand that has, a weaker image like Nissan has less. But still, the bottom line is prices on cars are going to go up. Affordability for consumers are going to go down, and they've come down a lot, over the last several years through COVID and the chip shortage. So, really car buying in America just descends into being an new car buying at least, descends into being a upper middle class activity.
Is there a difference of how the exposure could differ from Japanese automakers to, say, Korean automakers, German automakers in the United States? I mean, could Japan be more resilient than any of these competitors, and who ends up winning or losing?
The scary/funny thing is, I wonder how many businesses are, like, still slightly pricing in that, like, Trump is definitely going to reverse course Monday, or at least by Friday, right? There's no shot that Trump doesn't reverse course on this, right? Like, I wonder how many people, institutional investors or corporations, because like even I don't think these can stay for more than, I didn't think they would happen, so who knows. Like at what point does Trump get worried that some dude is about to fucking assassinate him around him or something? Tomorrow is going to be bloody. And then, so when do these actually go into effect? When do Trump tariffs start? %, on all countries went into effect on the 5th, and then these all go into effect on the 9th? Like at midnight? So like the morning, early of the 9th, or... Jeez. It feels like there's some like button that he pushed that like certainly that one thing couldn't cause that much damage, right? Certainly that wouldn't be possible, no?
Oh yeah.
The base encryption. This one, the key.
Something good to contribute here?
He pushed the thing.
I thought I was on mute. Yeah, you're typical.
Yeah, just plug the power cord in and it's gonna work, Chip.
Did he already push it at this point?
I know what you were trying to do down there, you little pervert. That was awesome. Good.
What happened?
Oh, you little pervert. Man, you just kicked Chip in the face. I was just plugging in the projector. You're trying to look up a dress. Plugging in the projector and a boy, Chip. I think I'm bleeding. Yeah, you're... You know what? We're using my system for this demo anyway. I was just testing it with mine, okay?
Yeah, what?
Did you fix it yet?
I fixed it, but I'm having a little problem here with one other thing.
You're
So
having
just
a little problem. Well, there's a fucking first. You haven't...
The button.
Hey, Daryl, I don't have time to talk right now.
This is Daryl.
Yeah, I know. I'm right in the
Hey,
middle
were
of
you
something.
in a single sign-on app recently?
No.
Well, because somebody went in and clicked the recompute base encryption hash key button.
What's that do?
Well, it pretty much means we have to reset everyone's password on every server in the whole enterprise. So, you know who clicked it?
No, man. I'm just helping with a sales meeting right now, so.
Well,
since you're logged into the box here and it's running under your username, I just thought I'd ask you.
Huh.
And, I can see from the squid log here that you did just do a search for recompute encryption hash key, so it seems like you might know something
All right,
about this.
Inspector Darrell, I clicked it. It's right next to the apply button. I mean, do you know how we fix it?
Derek. Well, we ain't doing anything, but you need to get busy resetting everybody's password, and you can't do it remotely. You're going to have to come down here with a recovery CD and start going up and down the rows, popping it in the box, reset
Come on,
the administrator.
what do you mean every password?
AD, PeopleSoft, Unix, the parking garage,
It doesn't make sense that one button has that effect on every password.
It's recomputing the base encryption hash key, which is what all authentication tokens base the seed for the RNG encryption computation off of.
All right, listen, Darrell, they're trying to get it.
It's just like, you can't actually do this, right? I love the music. Oh, man. Oh, man. 2,200. Is that a high score? Wait, what is the largest single market drop in Dow Jones history?
In case you missed it on the China Show.
Compared to a 10%.
Okay, besides the Great Depression.
To the United States, I mean, even the entire determination of the fentanyl industry in China is totally worth it.
I think this is a monumental moment for global AI development. DeepSeek did was not only just make the products free, but also they released.
Damn, guys, 2020 was a rough. That was a rough year.
So you can see how they did it. This has forever democratized this current most advanced version of AI.
How do your students feel about their jobs prospects?
There are a lot of opportunities in this.
How many of these are under Donald Trump? There's like 3 if today ends up getting counted.
Manufacturing.
Or not today, but
I think the main problem
I wonder
is
if
that there's a lot of mismatches.
but I don't know actually for
between
single day
supply and
drops
demand.
if any of them would have ranked up there actually.
The China
So
Show live every weekday.
Asia is at the forefront of some of the world's biggest stories. I'm Sherrian in Tokyo.
And I'm Heidi Stroud-Watts here in Sydney where the trading day begins. We're here in the center of all the action to get you set up with the numbers, news, and knowledge you need for the day ahead.
is it? I could be totally wrong. I don't know anything. I was told this one time, and maybe it was outdated information. The US GSA-IT team just saved $1 million per year by converting 14,000 magnetic tapes, 70-year-old technology for information storage, to permanent modern digital records. I thought that backing stuff up onto tape was kind of common still, and that tape was supposed to hold basically indefinitely. Don't modern digital infrastructure, doesn't that require upkeep? Or is it like a different technology? Yes? Okay. I feel like somebody, I didn't believe them when they told me this. But this was like 10 years ago. Somebody told me, I don't remember if they worked at a bank or something, but they mentioned backing stuff up onto like tape. And I was like, tape? Why the fuck would you do that? And they told me that when you're working with like huge backups for lots of data and you like stability is super important, that tape is just, it's very common to back stuff up onto tape. Tape has the highest storage per price density. You use tape for long-term storage. Unironically, there are places that physically move tape to move data via truck. Okay, yeah. Nice, but now it's on an actively managed digital place that requires probably some kind of physical upkeep. Nice. I wonder if this even saved money. I wonder how they're calculating saved money. What? My face when in 6 months they get a fucking oopsie AWS bill for like $12 trillion. Warning. No, just kidding. There is no warning. There's just, hey, your AWS account bill is due. I see that you've put no warnings or stops in place and you are now being billed for the entirety of your GDP. Based. streamable.
And this is what happens when you get ready to go back into bear markets. And I said, I only see 570. Why isn't it updating? On what? All right. All right. We're in bear market. StockMarketMoney.com told you it was coming. If you don't believe me, we're down 727 points, and we got all the short sells. Apple's down to $230. Look at that. Look at it. Take them all out for the big bounce off the bottom. I told everybody that you couldn't stay overbought. This is what happens when you get overbought. And we told everyone in the Dow was coming. We told you that we didn't want to see you get hooked. And you may be hooked. Here you go.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to oversell, and maybe I'm just understanding. Hold on. I'm sorry. This tweet is bothering me more than more. What? What does permanent digital storage mean? Is that a thing? Are there new medium? Because has there been a new medium created that somebody would call a permanent digital record? The way that you, I thought the way that you ensure integrity in digital storage is through like RAID or like striping arrays or backup arrays. That digital is not ever considered permanent. That you basically always have to have some kind of active management of digital stuff. It is wordsmithing of nonsense. Okay, this tweet is just fucking retarded, right? They carve the data into stone, but that wouldn't be digital then, no? Don't overthink it. Okay. Okay. Is a hard disk drive, is that's considered permanent storage, right? Or no? The tape on because a hard disk drive backs up to, or it's different than a solid state drive, right? Hard disk writes to an actual physical disk. Yeah, a hard disk drive. I'm not talking about a solid state drive. I mean an actual. Disks are susceptible to bit rot if unpowered. Hard disks are? Or, I don't know. Nope. Okay, no. All right.
Oh, I'm told it's 835. The Dow ticker. Wow, almost 1,000 points. We call this a capitulation. Whoa, look at that NASDAQ 100. Whoa, look at that. Almost 1,000 points down. That's a big shakeout. They're going to probably halt trading. We can't stop the selling. Even Kramer doesn't know what to think. How do you like it? It's called 900 points down. We told you people not to get involved in that. We told you 2 weeks ago what happens to exuberance is that exuberance can make up the difference in one day. I can't even keep up with the TikTok. I haven't seen this. Buddy, you could have done it a long time ago. Buddy, look at Apple Computer. Cancel all orders. Cancel all orders. Cancel all orders.
What is this? Upbeat music.
This is Bloomberg Open Interest. I'm Matt Miller. Quick check of what's going on in stocks. We are down really across the board. The S&P 500 is off more than 3%. So it is.
Okay, at some point I'll read, maybe tonight when I'm bored, for bond yields. Do bond yields increase because there's a higher demand to buy cash equivalent stuff because it's seen as a better place to hold cash than stocks? So like if the bond yield, 10-year bond yield curve is higher, is that because people are saying that they don't have as much faith in the market, so the money is going instead into these 10-year bonds? Is that what that means? Is that why it's going up? If you do parallels between the tariffs and their contribution to the Great Depression, how much overlap would they have with these new policies? Obviously, it's not 1-to-1, but curious what you think. I don't know enough about what caused the Great Depression to really be able to tell you. But also, this is just like really weird because this is really weird because this is all self-inflicted. Like, there's no reason for any of this to be happening. So
It's now off 15%.
is the stock market going to be killed tomorrow? It's probably going to be another bloody day, like the last two, at least, I think.
S&P 500 is off more than 3%. So it is now off 15% from its peak at the end of February. The NASDAQ down 3% as well. The Russell 2000 has lost fully a quarter of its value, 25% from its recent high. In terms of the individual movers, Nvidia down 4.33%. You know that's a big heavyweight drag on the indexes. Apple is now worth less than $3 trillion. We have losers in DuPont, in Alibaba, Tesla leading the automakers down, but Stellantis is not far behind it with 6% drops at these two automakers. It is not a bloodbath. We're not looking at panic, Katie, but at one point this morning it did feel like we were going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about the VIX hitting 45 on an intraday basis. That's only the highest level since about this past summer. But if you take a look at closing bases, then you have to pull out to a 5-year chart. So maybe it's not panic yet, but some of the measures that we were told to watch.
I think one of the issues you run into too is that like there's a chance that like this could be just like a bear market for a while, right? Because if somebody just typed in chat that most corporations still think these are going to get reversed, like it could be firms dragging their feet for weeks or months just waiting for this to be reversed and turn around, and the huge dump hasn't even happened. Maybe, I don't know. Jesus, who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Have you with us, and Sherry was just talking about gold, and we are seeing quite an interesting kind of dynamic play out when it comes to gold prices, even as a haven demand that has been one of the standouts, along with sovereign bonds as well as the yen in this sort of tariff play. We're starting to see some profit taking when it comes to gold at the moment. Perhaps we are seeing really that need for some money managers just to find profits, given how these portfolios are really just under pressure at the moment. It's a much more standard response when it comes to the copper play there. Both copper and gold extending those declines as a trader war sell-off really just continues. We had some really stellar gains for copper just a couple of weeks ago as we were concerned about the squeeze on global supplies as a result of tariffs. But given the collapse in equity markets, more punitive tariffs, and specifically these retaliatory...
Oh, that too. Another thing I think we're waiting for, are we still waiting for announcements tomorrow from the European Union for what... for counter tariffs, because I don't know if we even know 100% what all the retaliatory tariffs are going to look like. Oh, true. And if counter tariffs come tomorrow, that signals two huge nasties. One is it makes the current tariffs more real. Well, three things. One, it makes them feel more real. Two, it's going to hurt our export markets, right? So that's another blow to us. And then three, there's the potentiality that if Trump doesn't reverse course, Trump announces even more counter tariffs. What is it? What would that be? A 3-bet? A bet raise and a re-raise? Or 4-bet? 5-bet now? Counter tariffs?
Measures on China and from China as well, prompting much bigger fears around global demand and sort of infrastructure demand.
Are tariffs only on physical goods or only on digital software, or also on digital software? So careful. People are saying this over and over again, that tariffs are only on physical goods. That's true, but that's short-sighted, because you can create other trade policies that punish the importation or the purchasing of software stuff. It's not like that stuff magically can escape all harm. If a country wants to make it harder for people to buy services from another country, a country can do that.
That China proxy story very much coming into the fore now. Nickel off by over 5%. We're also seeing iron ore, of course, Jerry, another China proxy story down by...
Also, as a quick thing, partially, Mexico and Canada, okay, in my opinion, and it's easy for me to say this because I'm not the leader of a country or a leader of a province, Mexico and Canada and the European Union all share some blame for this, in my opinion. Trump needed a harsh message the very first time he talked about some crazy lunatic fucking tariffs like this, multiple bodies in the world needed to come together and fuck the US for this type of unhinged shit and get some kind of guarantee that it wouldn't happen again or whatever. And letting them go back and forth like this over and over again is partially why we're here now, I think. It's the same thing with like the Russia-Ukraine stuff where people are like, oh, World War III, World War III. The way that you get World War III is with appeasement and weak action. There has to be a strong deterrent effect so that if you fuck around, you find out. Not like, let's wait for him to fuck around more and more and more until eventually he really finds out. Well, now we're all finding out. It's so funny that we were supposed to avoid World War III and now we're starting like World War III in the fucking finance markets.
By 3.5%.
And of course, not surprising, we're watching those.
The average tariff rate is twice that of Smoot-Hawley, and we import 5 times more stuff than we did back then. On paper, this is a fucking nuclear Chernobyl meltdown, end of the world shit. Yeah, I wouldn't even call it like a Chernobyl meltdown. It's more than I still don't believe. I still don't believe that this is like. I don't think anybody believes that this is like actually happening. Also, as we stand as DGG on top of a pile of ash, we can at least say I told you so to all of these. At least he's good for the economy. Donald Trump is a good businessman. You think that he wouldn't Donald Trump? Oh, it's like so much worse. Oh my God.
Story down by 3.5%.
Canada has limited leverage against the USA. Yes, but not Canada, Mexico, and the EU. This is why I said they should have joined together and they should have gotten some shit worked out. Maybe that's impossible, but I mean, I guess now we're here.
Or, of course, Jerry, another China proxy story down by 3.5%.
And of course, not surprising, we're watching those automakers across Japan and South Korea as well, not only because of the U.S. tariff news, but just broad risk off, right? I mean, we're talking about the Nikkei now falling about 20% from its December high. If we finish at these levels, we're talking about the Nikkei entering bear market territory as well. So we'll continue to monitor these automakers.
I remember when our 2007 financial crisis fucked up everybody else as well. I wonder how tired the rest of the world is from our financial imperialism.
Hyundai leading some of those declines, with Honda as well down more than 7%. A lot of those exposed to not only selling in the U.S. market, but also because of production in Mexico as well. And we continue to watch also semiconductors, don't forget, because some of those big losers in the Korean.
How likely do you think the oligarch conspiracy is that big tech will swoop in by the government? It's not likely. There is no grand plan. There is no grand scheme. There is no 5D chess. There is only 3-dimensional chess where Donald Trump is eating the pieces on the board. That's all there is. That's it. That's all there ever has been. There is no anything past that.
In session are SK Hynix and Samsung as well. We have more ahead on the Asia Trade. This is Bloomberg.
If Donald Trump was a Democrat, every single Republican right now would be saying, are you really surprised that a man that could bankrupt 7 different companies could also bankrupt the United States of America? What do you think he meant when he said he was going to run it like a business? He meant that he was going to bankrupt it like he did the other businesses he ran.
Let's cut right to it. This is Bloomberg's new show, Primer. Technology is $1 trillion game. Won, lost, won again, just by backing the right science at precisely the right moment.
My life has been focused on how can you elicit intelligence from brain cells in a fish.
This is the fundamental building block of our fusion technology.
We're doing things that have never been done by anybody, ever.
Anyway, tomorrow I'm organizing DGG, guys. We're going to go protest for Palestine. Let's go.
Everyone is selling the future. If you want to understand what's coming, you'll want to watch Primer, because details matter.
Lasers on?
So do lasers.
There we go.
Oh, and it's on all these lovely channels. Hope you're jotting this down.
From the world of politics to the world of business, Joe Matthew and Kaylee Lines deliver news, insight, and analysis live 2 times a day, every trading day. Balance of Power at 1 and 5 Eastern, only on Bloomberg.
Why are we watching commercials?
That's right. I think there's a lot of speculation.
Jesus Christ. Is this an international channel? Is it only Asian people awake right now? What the fuck?
Continue to take resolute
Oh my god, the Chinese are already taking over. They're already taking over the United States. It's already happened. Holy shit. Oh god.
Exactly. Does those resolute measures mean could China actually use the yuan again to weaponize the currency in order to blunt the impact
Japanese
of
market is
tariffs?
open.
But so far we had seen China really prioritizing stabilizing the currency. We did see the PBOC weakening the yuan by about 0.13% on Thursday, but still keeping it below 7.2 yuan per dollar. Still pretty supportive for the yuan. And there are sort of different competing narratives now. Some analysts are expecting that China could forcefully depreciate the yuan to the tune of 15 to 30% in a couple of months. Others are saying that maybe China will take a measured approach, weaken it to the tune of just 3% and try to support.
So what's the deal with the Fed? Is there any news on that? The Federal Reserve Bank is not supposed to be here for economic policy in the United States. The Federal Reserve is supposed to operate under a dual mandate. They check for inflation and they check for unemployment. Those are the only two things that I understand that the Fed is supposed to keep track of. The Fed is not here to be weaponized or to be deployed as part of your economic policy. Then it's not supposed to be like an active part of your consideration when you're crafting policy is, how can I make the Fed try to bail me out or save me? It's insane.
Deepening further before stabilizing, certainly not stabilizing today. He told us that while Beijing has more leverage in the trade war, Trump doesn't want to de-escalate with China.
Well, it's a game of chicken between Trump on one side, Powell at the Fed on the other, and Xi Jinping on who's going to be blinking first. You know, Trump is trying to nudge Powell to blink and his monetary policy as a way to push markets higher. But Powell knows that given what happened on April 2nd, if he blinks, there'll be a de-anchoring of inflation expectation, and those stars are going to lead to higher inflation. So he's not going to blink. Of course, there is a Powell put, there is a Trump put. But Powell, I don't think he cares as much about the stock market. He cares about high yields. Because if high yield spreads were to widen...
This is what Trump is. Somebody showed Trump this meme video, and Trump, this is where the current tariffs are coming from. Trump watched this YouTube video and he's like, that's it. Also, wait, did I say this a week ago, or did I make this up? That we were gonna, I think I said it was for Doge though, that we were gonna start getting rid of our national parks. Trump administration opens up over half of national forests for logging. Based. A new directive from the Trump admin will open up more logging in national forests. It exempts affected forests from an objection process that allows outside groups, tribes, and local governments to challenge logging proposals at the administrative level. Whether it will result in more lumber production remains to be seen. If 9/11 or COVID had happened under a Democrat, I think there would actually be a civil war by now. Republicans would blame Dems for both forever. Bush and Trump just skate on it because Dems have civility. Absolutely fucking true. Holy shit, that might have been the truest fucking donation I've ever gotten in my entire fucking life. Dude, if COVID had happened under a fucking Democrat, do you have any idea how crazy the conspiracies would have been? Holy shit. But because it was under Trump, he has zero fucking responsibility for it. If Bernie Sanders did this to the market, there would be a military coup within 24 hours. Limfeo. We know that's true because they tried pinning Ukraine on Biden. True. Oh, true. That's true. The index Nikkei 225, 5% already. It's coming back. It always bounces in the very beginning when the market
whole corporate governance issue, which both parties have been going back and forth. You know, how improve your commitment to the shareholders as well as the board. That's a big issue here. And also, the Bank of Korea will be having a big challenge in terms of slowing economy, but at the same time not able to freely, support the economy while lowering rates. So
we had two choices. We had the Elon Musk autism economy, or we had the other form of autism, the Indian Vivek Ramaswamy, I'm a disciplined child trained in a traditional Indian family economy. And we went with the autistic Elon Musk economy. Wait, what happened? No. Bring Vivek back. Bring back my... I don't even want the neocons anymore. I'll settle for the oligarchs. Anybody. Is there any deep state out there?
Studio, we have more ahead on the Asia trade. This is Bloomberg.
Stay here.
What they need to do, dude, oh my God, 7.67%. They need to have like deeper shades of red. How representative are these indexes of their economy? Like, is this a good index for? Oh, is it like an accurate snapshot? Ooh, like the FTSE 100 is the FTSE 250 supposed to be better, or the 100? This is like for the UK, right? Damn. I think it's literally the top 225 companies in Japan. It's like the SPY of Japan. Oh, shit. It's a stock market index for the Tokyo Stock Exchange. It's a price-weighted index operating the Japanese yen. Its components are reviewed twice a year. Damn. It's okay. They always go down initially, and then it usually bounces back.
The news whenever and wherever it happens. I'm Stephen Engel at the Forbidden City in Beijing, and this is Bloomberg.
Middle East and Africa. Vibrant resources and high-yield investment opportunities abound. Join me on Horizons Middle East and Africa for the stories, newsmakers, and insight from this exciting region.
Jesus.
Now weekdays, only on Bloomberg.
Oh my
From
God.
our studios in New York and San Francisco, our expert hosts have the data
People
and
are like,
analysis from the companies you know.
Japan's market's been pushing sideways for a long time. It's not good. It's like, let's change that. with no survivors. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Live every weekday, only on Bloomberg Television. Context changes everything. Bloomberg loves earnings.
I know it's like your Super Bowl, right?
I can't wait. It's like opening presents in the morning.
All right, it will be exciting.
Nobody covers earnings like Bloomberg.
Taxes and deregulation were the three-legged stool, and right now the focus is on tariffs.
As things stand now, we're headed to recession. And it's very clear that this is a tax on businesses and households.
The U.S. is known for the innovation and the stuff we create, and I think it's exceedingly burdensome for small companies like ours.
In the next couple of months, the labor market still stays okay.
As the adage goes, if the U.S. is going to have a slowdown, other regions probably are going to be worse.
Business leaders as market experts as well talking to Bloomberg about the aftermath of those US tariffs. Let's take a look at how European futures are trading at the moment as a bloodbath just extends across Asia. We did see European stocks already plummeting into correction territory on Friday after that China retaliation news, looking like a pretty ugly picture there, particularly if the lead in Asia is anything to go by. We're seeing declines of upwards of almost 10% when it comes to Japanese stocks. Australia off by over 6%, and both of those markets looking like we'll see bear territory. This is Bloomberg.
Cat jamming.
U.S. jobs numbers are released. Bloomberg has the report under surveillance with crucial data and expert analysis at terminal speed. Nobody covers Jobs Day like Bloomberg. Bloomberg brings you breaking news 24 hours a day. Powered by more than 3,000 journalists and analysts in more than 100 bureaus across the globe. Bloomberg Television. Context changes everything. The countdown is on. Everything you need to get the edge at the end of the market day.
Is Trump going for 3 impeachments, do you think? Let me use the restroom. Hold on.
NVIDIA is one of the best stories in the tech space.
That actually matters a whole lot more.
It might shock some of your viewers.
You're watching The Close.
Get ahead of tomorrow's trading with The Close. Weekdays on Bloomberg. Context changes everything.
US tech is influencing global markets.
Technology is driving business across Europe.
Companies in Asia are betting on tech.
It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. We'll show you what's happening in ETFs like no one else. ETF IQ, only on Bloomberg.
What's going to happen with the market, I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger. And eventually, it'll be a country like no other. It'll be the most dominant country economically in the world.
Yeah, President Trump dismissing market concerns as he speaks to reporters aboard Air Force One after a weekend of golf in Florida. He's also talked about how he's not intentionally engineering a market sell-off, but of course we continue to see the repercussions across benchmarks here in Asia. Take a look at how the Nikkei is trading right now, because we're seeing every sector in the red, down more than 7%. The Kospi is also losing about 5% as we continue to see these safe haven moves towards currencies like the Japanese yen now trading at the highest level against the US dollar since August. We're seeing a huge bid for global bonds, as well as the 10-year yield is now in the JGB's market at the lowest level since January. The offshore yuan also continues to be under pressure. Of course, we're watching the weakest level since February very closely. There's a lot of speculation on whether China could really turn to the weakening of the Chinese yuan in retaliation for these tariffs coming from the US. The Aussie dollar already saw the worst sell-off since 2008, and you can see the ASX 200 trading to the downside of 6%. This, as we're following the latest on South Korea. Remember, South Koreans have just ousted President Yoon Suk-yeol with the Constitutional Court upholding that vote to impeach him. We're hearing from local media Yonhap that South Korea has tentatively decided to hold the presidential election on June 3rd.
Remember that inflation was so fucking bad, even if it meant staving off the worst effects of the of COVID, and even if it meant that the U.S. economy emerged stronger than every other country in the world after COVID. Inflation was so bad that we had to have a referendum on the Democratic presidency for it. But this is actually totally A-okay and 100% fine, okay? This is actually okay. This is an okay thing to suffer through for no reason.
It's sort of at a similar level than, say, Japan at 24%.
Korea has been a FTA partner with the United States for the last 13 years, and I believe that this FTA was really win-win. It really helped many U.S. producers and ranchers really grow market share in Korea. For example, the U.S. beef. Korea is the #1 market for U.S. beef. I mean, even bigger than 1.4 billion Chinese market. So I think it appears that Korea got the highest level of tariff among all FTA partners of the United States.
I remember even U.S. beef was such a big concession coming from South Korea. I covered the KORUS FTA negotiations. There were huge protests here. Yeah. Do you think perhaps the leadership vacuum that we've seen here in Seoul might have contributed to the fact that South Korea was not